Welcome back to Easy Sewing with Tyke. Remember the Dartless bodice pattern we drafted in our last tutorial? Today we are bringing it to life by cutting and sewing this stunning gathered hem dress that features that same Dartless bodice, a ruched effect and a puff sleeve. Trust me, you are going to love how beautiful this design comes together. Now, if this is your first time here, your first time coming across this channel, my name is Taiwo and I'm so excited to have you join us. Alright, and to my amazing returning subscribers and viewers, thank you for your continued support. You are the heart of this community and I appreciate you so much. So make yourself comfortable and let's dive right in. Here is the back pattern of the Dartless upscale bodice that was drafted in the last tutorial. I've gone ahead to transfer it to the fabric. I've added the zipper allowance, the sewing allowance at the side, and also half-inch allowance for the shoulder joining and half-inch allowance at the hem as well. I've added all the necessary allowance. If you missed that tutorial, the link to see it will be showing on the screen. And here's the front pattern of the Dartless upscale bodice. I've transferred it to the fabric as well. I added half-inch at the shoulder area, I added half-inch at the hem, and I added 1.5 inch sewing allowance. Now let's move on to cutting the other part of this dress. Moving on to the skirt part of this dress, the part labeled 2, I'll be cutting both the front and the back together simultaneously. The part being indicated by the arrow right now is the zipper allowance. The length of this skirt part, that is where it is stopping on my body, is 31 inches. I added half inch to join it to the gathers. And remember that the half length we are working with is 17 inches. I added half inch at the upper part to join it to the half scale bodice. That is why I marked out 16 and a half. Then I went ahead to mark out the hip line as well. So the place that I'm rolling out right now, the first vertical line you can see there is the waistline. That is the part that will be joined to the half scale upper bodice, while the part that I'm rolling out right now is the hip line. On the waistline, I'll input the waist measurements divided by 4, and I'll be adding the sewing allowance of 1.5 inch. And on the hip line, I'll be inputting the hip measurements divided by 4 plus the sewing allowance. Afterwards, I'll go ahead and connect it this way. So I am connecting it in an A-line form, meaning that the circumference or the measurement I have at the hem is 1 inch more than the hip measurement. Okay, but if you want yours straight, that is from the hip to the hem, you want it straight down, by all means you can do that. So at the waist area this way, I'll be coming down by half inch to make only at the front, please, only at the front, to make that place slanted. Okay, then I went ahead to cut it all out. Moving on to the sleeve. So what I have here is my desired sleeve length. Afterwards, I went ahead to input the cap height. The formula to get that would be showing on your screen. And on the cap height, I went ahead to input the bicep measurements divided by 2, and I added the sewing allowance as well. I'll be using the same measurement even at the hem because the hem of this sleeve has an elastic. Okay, so from that bicep measurement, I will just go ahead and mark out a slanted line all the way to the apex of the sleeve this way. I'll divide what I have there into 2, and I'll just go ahead and draw out the armhole curve. I have a more detailed and beginner friendly sleeve tutorial already on this channel. The link to that will be showing on your screen. So do well to check it out, and that is it. The sleeve is ready. Moving on to the sewing part of this video. So here's the front upper bodice. I'll be turning the neckline with a facing, but because of the fabric type I'm working with, I did not cut out the neckline of the facing yet. Rather, when I am done sewing the neckline, that is when I'll be cutting out the neckline on the facing. Just follow through with what you can see on the screen and you would understand. I went ahead to add an interface all around the neckline. As you can see, I added my interface all around the facing fabric, as you can see as well. Then I went ahead to mark out how I want to sew this neckline because I do not want any error, and I especially recommend this method for beginners. This is going to minimize any error. All right, so I went ahead to sew the neckline using 1/2 inch all around this way. Here's what it looks like at the back when I was done sewing. Now the next thing to do is to cut out the neckline on the facing this way. Afterwards, I went ahead to notch it properly, after which I went ahead to top stitch on the facing this way. So are you enjoying the process and getting value so far? Then kindly let me know by liking this video. It truly helps to support this channel. And go ahead and subscribe for more amazing sewing tutorials if you are yet to subscribe. Do you have questions or suggestions? Then drop them in the comment below. I'd love to hear from you, and also I'll be happy to help. Share this video with your friends who love content like this, and tap on the notification bell so you never miss a new tutorial from this channel. Thank you so much for watching so far. I appreciate you. Moving on, after top stitching, I went ahead to turn it inside out. Then I gave it a good press. I aimed the bottom and the side of the facing this way, and I use an M gum to make sure that it sticks to the main dress like this. Before joining the skirt part to the upper bodice, we have to create that ruched effect that you can see on the skirt part. So determine where you want yours to be. So I want mine to be 5.5 inches apart from the waistline and 3 inches apart from the side. Okay, so if you want yours closer to the waistline, by all means move it, but this is how I placed mine. Okay, then I used an iron just to make that place elaborate. So this is my casing. This is the casing where I'll be passing in the rope for the ruched effect. I've gone ahead to fold it, added my interfacing. So I will just go ahead and sew it down. So I'll be sewing it at the center, then I'll be sewing it at the sides. Okay, so this is me sewing it at the center all the way from the top to the bottom, but I will be stopping 1 inch before the hem like this, because I would need 1/2 inch to attach the gathers, and then just 1/2 inch for the space for the rope to come out, for the rope to pass through. Okay, you would get to understand better when we get to that point. So do not sew your casing all the way to the hem of the skirt. The casing is ready, and all I have to do is to pass in the rope this way. After passing in the rope, I went ahead to secure it at the upper part, and this is it. The ruched effect has been created and it is ready. Moving on, the next thing to do is to join the upper bodice and the skirt parts together at the waistline using 1/2 inch. Now make sure that the center of the upper bodice, it aligns with the center of the skirt part. Then go ahead and sew it off using 1/2 inch joining allowance. And here is what it looks like after joining. This is the back. I basically repeated the same process I did at the front, just that instead of using a facing, I turned the neckline with a bias. I joined both the upper part and the lower part together. Remember, this is a dartless body, so I did not take in the dart. I attach the zipper, make sure that I interface the zipper allowance area because of the type of fabric I'm working with. I also joined it at the shoulder using 1/2 inch. Then I went ahead to input the bust measurement, the waist measurement, and I joined both the front and the back together this way. And this is what I have so far. The dress is almost ready. This is how it looked at the back, and here is how it looked at the front. Moving on to the gathers part of this dress. To get the length here, you have to subtract the length of whatever you have right now from your full gown length. Remember that mine stopped at 31, so you have to subtract it from the full gown length. For example, if the full gown length that I'm working with is 40, that means the length that I will be needing here is 5. But that was not the case. The actual length that I needed was around 16 inches, because I want this dress to be a midi dress, okay, not a knee length dress. I went ahead to hem the bottom part, and I went ahead to make my gather stitch manually. So for the width, I worked with 2 yards and 26 inches because I want it very full. So yours can be more and yours can be lesser. It depends on the amount of fabric you're working with, and it depends on how full you want that gathers part to be. Then I went ahead to create the elastic casing at the bottom part of the sleeve this way. After creating it, I pass in the elastic this way. Then I went ahead to join it at the sides using fencing method. That is, I joined it using 1/4 inch at the front. Then I turned it inside to join it using 1/2 inch. That way I have concealed all the stitch line, okay? And the sleeve is neatly finished. Now is the time to fix the sleeve. I would make sure that the right part of the sleeve is facing the right side of the fabric. Then from the underarm that way, I will just go ahead and sew it all the way from one edge to the other, making sure that I pleat the excess at the shoulder area. Remember that I added 2 inches sewing allowance to this sleeve, but I ended up using less than 1 inch to sew it. So the remaining that I have there was what formed the excess that I was able to pleat at the shoulder. I went ahead to fix the second sleeve as well. So this is what we have so far. The final thing is to attach the gathers to the bottom part of the skirt area. Once you have manually or used your machine to gather your fabric, then it is easy to fix. Just make sure that you keep adjusting and you make sure that the gathers are evenly distributed all around the hemline, then you are good to go. So I went ahead to join it using 1/2 inch while making sure it is evenly distributed. This is how it looks like when I was done. You can see how evenly distributed the gathers is. And voila, the dress is ready. And that brings us to the end of this wonderful tutorial. I hope you gained some valuable insight and enjoyed the process. I'd love to see how your project turns out, so be sure to share them with me on social media. You can find me as Easy Sewing with Tyke on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. See you in the next tutorial. Until then, take care and happy sewing. Bye.